Somewhere between the day that you were exhausted and the day that you were fine, something in you changed. It sort of turned down, not sad, not happy, just quiet. So if you've ever caught yourself wishing that you could feel something, even something painful, just so that you know that you're in there, this episode is for you. So here's a few signs of emotional numbness that rarely look as dramatic as how that phrase even sounds. You know, you're not going to be walking about like Eeyore, ears down and the tail tucked under. It's not that dramatic. It's someone that you love. It's hearing your favourite song. It's going to an event that you know that actually any other time you would be really, really looking forward to this. But something doesn't land. It's almost that numbness. It's all of these things, but you don't actually experience anything moving. You don't actually have those kind of feel-good emotions lifting to the surface. It's just this sort of sense of flatness. It's also maybe getting through an entire day on autopilot and someone actually saying to you at the end of the day, how was your day? And you're going, oh, I don't actually remember what happened today. It's maybe someone else asking if you're okay, and your response to that is, I'm fine. Because you don't actually know how to respond, because anything other than fine, you would be quite stuck for those words as well, wouldn't you? And it's almost as well preferring something painful, because if it was painful, then at least you would be feeling something. And it's crying. It's feeling quite far away from yourself. It's knowing that you're here, but also that there's a bit of distance and it's out of reach of who and what you are, so you can't quite be in touch. Almost as if you're sort of having feelings that aren't actually you. Almost this feeling of dissociation. And here's what I really want you to know is that none of this is laziness. Some people kind of put this down to laziness. Some people, even when it is those big events, put it down to not caring, but you care a lot. You're feeling numb, you're feeling flat, you're feeling washed out. And something important to understand here is that this feeling that we're talking about of numbness, it's not the absence of feeling. It's that your feelings have been turned all the way down. Think of it, right, like maybe an old laptop that you've had where it's running when you first got it. It's absolutely running at full speed, you know, and you're able to click into things and here you go, you're searching in a browser and it comes up right away, and maybe it is that you're going to download this wee document or whatever, right? And then all of a sudden, as the kind of time goes by and you've not cleared any of that old junk out, what sort of happens is the laptop goes a lot slower, doesn't it? It goes so slow because you've not been able to clean the stuff out, because maybe you've not known to do it. So what your laptop or computer done back then was holding it all together for a period of time until it couldn't actually hold all of it together anymore. And all of a sudden you're going to be shaking your laptop around because it's not actually doing what it is that you want it to do. It's not actually performing the way that it once did. And that's because it's exhausted, it's jam-packed, it's so full that it's not able to continue to operate the way that it once did. That's the same for you. The volume's just been turned down. It's like the lights have dimmed. It's like you're just there, maybe even not realising that you're there either. I remember having a conversation with someone recently and they says that maybe 2 hours have passed and they didn't even know that 2 hours had passed because they were in that space of freeze mode, of feeling numb, of not really sure how to get back online themselves. So it's not that they've switched that sadness off. It's just that the volume has been turned down. The light switch has been dimmed. I'm talking about everyday flatness that happens after long periods of stress. But it isn't the same diagnosis as a clinical diagnosis of dissociation. It is important that you go and see the doctor, have an appointment with your GP, and it really does deserve proper support. My own journey with mental health started actually from recognising that I was in this numb state, this freeze state. And this is a personal story to me, and it really does sort of evoke emotions. So, if I do shed a tear here, then, have a laugh, because it won't be the first time and it won't be the last time either. But I remember in 2015, I had been married maybe almost a year, and we had went to a family wedding in Canada. And this family wedding was something that I was so excited for, because it was one of my favourite people in the whole world. We were getting married to the man of our dreams. And I can remember leading up to it and thinking, I can't wait for this, on a countdown, all the family were going over, and it was really something special. And I remember just before going, maybe it was about 2 weeks before going, I started to feel this sense of flatness, this sense of numbness that I've been talking about. And it was quite difficult because inside I was almost kind of trying to turn on the Christmas lights, really, to say, come on, you're supposed to be really excited about this. And I was just not. And not because of anything from her, because I love her with my whole heart. And it was just this really strange thing that was going on. And it was something actually related to work. I had changed shifts in my work pattern and I was now working 12-hour shifts, and that's not for me, right? I now know that. And it was very long days under very, very big stress, I would say, co-working with someone on the opposite days, and who at that time wasn't the kindest, and I've dealt with that, so that's okay now, all right? But what happened is that I remember going through just quite a bit of period of time where I was floating through life almost. I was just sort of watching the clock tick down. People were feeding back maybe to my manager that I wasn't doing something right, and it just all started to add up and add up and add up. I went to the family wedding. I was there. I was present. I was happy for the couple. I was just really looking forward to being home and in my bed, if I'm being honest. And it wasn't anything to do with the couple. It was more to do with how I was on the inside. And interestingly, I had went back to work and the same feelings were there. It was just this feeling of being absolutely rinsed out, washed out, just no time for anything really. And I can remember one day specifically, and it was a Monday, and I was in my bed and I just thought, I just can't. And for me, it was the difficulty in saying, I have to phone the doctor now because I have nothing left. And calling the doctor, having an appointment and going to it and realising that yes, actually I too had been running on this sort of almost as if the car was in neutral. I was moving, but I wasn't really in any particular gear. I was just floating along through life, and it was exhausting, and every part of my internal system, every part of my fight and flight response was just so sensitive to anything that was going on. And I just needed some space. I just needed some time away. I just needed to hide under the covers. And I thought, okay, this will be me for a wee day or two. I'll just get a sick line for a week and see what happens. The doctor, thankfully, had signed me off for 2 weeks. And I spent that 2 weeks crying. I spent the whole 2 weeks in tears and snorters and just really quite upset and not quite sure how to articulate how I was feeling. And the interesting part of it is that I thought that this was all my fault. I thought that I had to hold some responsibility, or that I had to put something extra into my tank. I had to do something really kind of, why am I not seeing what everybody else is doing? Why can't I perform at the same level? Why can't I just, get on with it? People have got it worse. All that kind of mantra is where I was in 2015. Now, I should have been really happy at this time because I was married in October 2014. This would have been one of the best times of my life. One of my favourite people, like I said, was getting married. But it wasn't. For me, it was just a time of absolute, oh no, what's going on? And I was just in this phase of sleepwalking through life, numbness. And what got me through that actually was just turning inwards to say, stop, just stop a minute. And then having some therapy and some work and having really good conversations about compassion, which is now one of my favourite topics, and reading some good books that were able to sort of kind of elicit questions within me that were able to allow for me to dive a wee bit deeper. And I felt as if when I had that return back to work again, I felt stronger, I felt more capable, and I felt more courageous at sort of saying what I needed. And that's so important with this as well. Ask yourself what it is that you need, and then listen to what comes up. And I promise you, it will never be motivation. It will never be give me more confidence. What it will be is a bloody break. Give yourself a break, all right? Just allow yourself to breathe, because this part and this sort of phase, if you are experiencing emotional numbness, is really blooming heavy. And it can almost feel as if there's a big fog in front of you where taking a step does feel like effort because you're not quite sure what the next step might be. And you might be the one that catches every need before somebody knows that they need it, anticipating everyone's needs. You might be the one who keeps performing, who keeps coping, who keeps saying it will be fine. And eventually what you'll notice happening is nothing comes, there's no announcer coming to say, right, lights out, time for everybody to leave, or as they say in Scotland, finish up your drinks and step outside. Nobody's coming to say that. The lights just dim themselves. You begin to feel yourself feeling a wee bit, as I describe it, washed out. But here's something interesting for you to know, alright? Feeling nothing at all is still your system doing something. It's not broken and it's not empty the way that it might feel right now. It's managing overwhelm that got too big, that got too out of hand. And what it done is it managed it the only way that it knows how. Muting everything, turning everything down. This is a wee dial, by the way. Until it got the signal that it was safe to turn the lights back up again. And reconnecting, it doesn't happen by forcing, it doesn't happen by pushing. It happens one step at a time. It happens one breath at a time. It happens through safety. Small permissions. Just one tiny wee bit at a time. So hear this clearly now from me. You have not lost the ability to feel. It's not gone anywhere. It's just been turned down. And there's nothing fundamentally wrong with you. Now that's not damage. That's your own system just trying to make sure that gets you through the day. So how do you recover from this? How do we switch the lights back on? How do we turn the volume back up again? Firstly, what I want to ask you to do is name it without judging it. It might be a daft name that you give it, like, here's Norman Number coming, whatever that might mean for you. Or maybe you don't give it a name at all. Maybe it's just, I'm feeling numb right now, and you just acknowledge it. And what this acknowledgement does is it gives it that sort of sense of, there's something here. So it's no longer a self-attack, saying you're lazy or you don't care. Now it's more a sense of observation. And that observation is often the first crack that lets you see the light coming back in. Secondly, please, don't chase a big breakthrough. Don't be going and thinking that you have to go from neutral to 5th or 6th gear all in one go. That's not how this works. That's only going to lead you to more exhaustion, overwhelm and burnout. I know, I've tried. But what you can do is choose one small sensation every single day. Like, take a sip of a cup of tea. Enjoy how that sip of the tea tastes. And if you're a chocolate lover, take a piece of chocolate and just enjoy the moment with that chocolate. You're not forcing anything at all here. You're just being in the moment with what is. And what you can do in this moment whilst you're there is remind your system that it's safe to be in this moment. That it enjoys it. It's something it likes. Your feelings will come back in small degrees, small increments, but not in floods. Not in the way that maybe a version of you that says, fix this now, that instant gratification might want it to. Slow and steady wins the race. Patience and pacing will absolutely get you to getting the lights back on again, turning the volume back up again. Another thing that you might want to do as well is I find it very, very helpful to journal. Journaling helps me often. I turn to it and I just write down exactly what's going on in my head. And what happens when we journal is that we can maybe not know intellectually if you say, what's wrong with me, what's going on? Journaling and just scribbling down on a piece of paper, even if it is, right now I'm feeling pretty blah. And then writing what that blah is and whatever else comes to your stream of consciousness at the time. And do you know what's really quite interesting is that when you read back on those moments and you'll be able to just see how far you've come maybe later on. It's not something that I'm suggesting that you look back tomorrow and see the big difference. But journaling has got such a good way of allowing you just to spill, just to let out, just to loosen off. And sometimes I say it's just like kind of putting a pin in you and just off you go. Write everything down, even if it means absolutely nonsense. And for anybody who doesn't like to write, maybe it is that you just want to turn the recorder onto your phone and you just want to record a voice note and send it to yourself somehow. Or maybe it is that for you, you'd like to sit and listen to a really lovely meditation, relax, get some quiet. But what I want to ask you to do is not go chasing this feeling flat to feeling fantastic. I want you just to allow yourself to go through that pacing and that patience and be with yourself for the whole journey, because this is the way to recovery. Recovery won't happen overnight. If you have been here for a while, it will happen bit by bit, moment by moment. I look back on it not with, oh my goodness, what happened there, and in any sense of rejection of myself. I look back at it and sometimes I say thank you, because if it wasn't for it, maybe it wouldn't have turned me onto this path. But I know for sure that that was one of the first things that took me here to this seat, talking to you. And if you want to chat to someone, then I'm here as well. You can send me an email, it's in the description. And if today is the first time that you've heard somebody talk about emotional numbness and you can recognise it, and you can recognise it in yourself or even someone else that you know and love, I want you just to rest in it for a wee moment. And I'm really glad that you found this. There's more of this here every single week. You can tune in. Your volume isn't broken. You can also like and share this video if you think that it would be good for someone else to see it as well. And one more thing before I go. Be gentle with yourself. You are a work in progress.